Hi everyone, it's Lindsay with High Altitude Astrology bringing you the full moon in Taurus video, which occurred today, November 12th at 6:34 a.m., which occurred at 19 degrees of Taurus. And you can see here in the chart, the full moon happens when the sun and the moon are directly opposite each other. So here's the moon at 19 degrees of Taurus, and here's the sun at 19 degrees of Scorpio. Full moons are symbolic of culmination in our lives. And this could be various forms of culmination. Sometimes it can be the coming together of things. Sometimes it can be the separating of things. But whatever it is, it's always revelatory because it's the sun shining all of its light, completely illuminating the moon. And the moon being our emotions and our feelings and our emotional response to the world in its full brightness. But it's in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is all about what we value, how we value ourselves, our personal values, our personal self-worth. It has a lot to do with security and comfort. It really is an energy of wanting to create peace and stability in our lives. Taurus is the first earth sign of the zodiac. So it's all about finding security through the material and physical world in our lives. So this full moon time with the sun in Scorpio, that has to do more with shining our light or expressing our will or expressing our spirit in this very deep, intense, real, passionate, desiring way. So when you have the two luminaries, or what they're called in astrology, opposing one another, in some ways, they're trying to figure out how to express themselves together. But opposites are not necessarily negative because there's always something the same or compatible within them. For example, the sun in Scorpio is fixed water, and the moon in Taurus is fixed earth. So there's something about water and earth that are compatible in astrology. You know, they both are kind of on the earth, or water moves through the earth, carving out the earth with its force, and earth kind of gives way to water in that way. So there's something compatible, but because they're both fixed, that's where sometimes the challenge might come in, because they're both wanting what they want. They both want their way. That's fixed. It's very set in its way. Taurus radiates its nature, its fixed nature from the inside out, and Scorpio radiates its nature, its fixed nature from the outside in. So this is the energy of the full moon. We've got our solar nature being expressed in these deep scorpionic emotions and feelings and getting in touch with our true desires. And then the moon, our expression of our emotions and our feelings, is being expressed in this Taurian, earthly, grounded, practical, peace-seeking, material stability type of way. So you can see how this dynamic might be playing out in your own life as this full moon kind of brings all of this energy to a culmination. To me, the energy today has felt very grounded, very peaceful, just kind of mellow, sort of Taurian, kind of plodding along, not too hectic, sort of appreciating the beauty of the world around me. This is very moon in Taurus. We want to find comfort and security, and we want to express ourselves too in this very, in this way that creates comfort and creates security and creates peace in our life. So the bigger picture of this, I'm feeling, is this really culmination of the last couple of weeks since the last new moon, which took place on Sunday, the 27th of October at 4 degrees of Scorpio. And now we've reached this 2-week culmination point where we're able to kind of see where all the chips have fallen or where the chips have been laid. And I think what this time is really helping us see is how we have really gravitated towards or gone towards the things that we really want for ourselves in our lives, and the things that really are going to bring us comfort. Moon and Taurus, the things that we value, how we're expressing ourselves emotionally in a way that creates self-worth and is built upon the values and that we want for ourselves in our lives. Now, you can see here the sun and the moon, you can see here that the sun and Mercury are quite close together at this full moon time. And what happened this past Monday, yesterday, what happened was that Mercury in its retrograde in Scorpio moved backwards past the sun. And they kind of, talked and had a dialogue and communicated. And I was explaining in my previous video, the sun really got a dose of information from Mercury. And what kind of information? Very deep information about our desires and about our passions, and maybe about how we've seen some of our habits, our addictions, our compulsions, and the way they've been operating in our lives, and how we've wanted to kind of come clean about them or really bring them to light so that we can really transform and let go. So Monday was a day that really kind of focused on the sun, our solar nature, and Mercury, our communication about our deep feelings, our deep passions, but also possibly bringing to light and bringing out, some of the ways that maybe we've misused our energy from a mental and communicative perspective, where we've needed to really get clear and get clean about, being clear and possibly just kind of cutting off or letting go of just dynamics with others that just are not really serving our highest good anymore. So at this full moon time, Mercury's coming off the sun, but there's still some residue of that energy having completed yesterday, just before this full moon time. Now, what's also interesting about this full moon time is that Mars, which is at 25 degrees of Libra, is in the sign of relationships. So this is bringing another layer to the puzzle here that we're decoding, so to speak. Right now, Mars is asserting itself and finding courage to express in relationships. And it wants to find, it may not want this so easily because Mars, they say, is in its detriment in the sign of Libra. It has a hard time finding harmony and balance because Mars wants to assert, and it's very willful. So to find harmony and balance doesn't always compute to Mars. But Mars is in its last few degrees of Libra for the remainder of the week, essentially, when on the 18th, which is in about a week, it moves into the sign of Scorpio. So Mars right now is kind of having some, Mars is trying to assert the self with some harmony and balance. Now what can be powerful about this full moon time and assist Mars in some ways is that the moon in Taurus, it knows what it feels. Moon in Taurus doesn't have a problem with knowing how it feels, and it wants what it desires. That's actually a similarity between Scorpio and Taurus. that's the fixed nature. It's like it's going to go after what it sets its sights on. So Mars in Libra is getting some support at this full moon time, because at this revelatory time, we're really getting the opportunity to see what it is that we want, and really in some ways to be able to shine our spirit out into the world in a communicative way that gets to the bottom of it all. So that would assist Mars, because sometimes Mars in Libra, just in Libra in general, is like, I don't know what there's indecision, what's fair and how is it going to affect the other. But this full moon time is really giving us a boost and giving us some just downright sort of practical energy that is helping us really go, yeah, I know how I feel, and I know what I want. And my Sun Scorpio, Mercury Scorpio nature right now is going to have nothing less. So some other things that are happening at this time of the full moon is that this Mars that I've been speaking of is going to be sextiling Jupiter in Sag, and that happened this morning at about 11:21 of Mountain Standard Time. And you can see here they're both at about 25 degrees. So Jupiter is also in the last few degrees of Sagittarius, and it will be moving also into the sign of Capricorn at the beginning of December. So we're getting these two planets that are in the last decan, is what it's called, the last 10 degrees of each sign respectively. And what this is doing is this is helping Mars also, because Jupiter is all about expansion and growth. And it wants to, especially Jupiter in Sag, Jupiter's expressing itself in its very purest form, and it's bringing a lot of, I would say, a lot of philosophical understanding, and it's bringing a lot of desire to want to bring new growth and new perspective and expand our world and bring positivity into our lives. So we've got Mars and Libra sextiling, creating a 60-degree angle, which is an opportunity to take action in a harmonious and balanced way in relationships that brings growth and that brings new horizons and that brings just a lot of positive direction to our lives. So this is really a cool energy to have also at this full moon time, that's really helping us kind of move in the direction that we need to head, as we're kind of getting a lot of this revelatory energy at this full moon in Taurus time. This Mars sextile Jupiter is really giving us a boost and saying, yeah, let's move in a new direction. Let's go after our dreams. Let's go after what we desire, because there's a lot of energy in the universe that's supporting us at this time. Now, Mercury over the next day is going to be also creating a few more aspects to Saturn and to Neptune. And you can see here right now, Mercury's at its retrograde at 17 degrees of Scorpio. This whole Mercury retrograde has been a real kind of clearing out time for us, really getting to the bottom of aspects of ourselves and dynamics that we have with other people that we're just letting go of and shedding and transforming. So now Mercury is going to be sextiling Saturn in Capricorn, and then it's going to be trining Neptune, and that's happening over the next day. And this is going to be a really great energy for this Mercury retrograde, because it's helping us really to kind of do the work. We're getting like more confidence in the ability to really accept some of these transformations that need to occur. And we're really kind of pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, in a sense, with Saturn in Capricorn, and really, sobering up to a certain extent, our thoughts and our communication. And this is going to just give us some oomph to really kind of go, okay, you know, I see now, here are the new kind of, or here are the ways that I really do need to start focusing my mind mentally, that create more transformation and growth in our lives. And Saturn just gives us the really kind of a, Saturn can be very cool and very calculating and cold and kind of like, all right, this is what we got to do, you know? So that's what this sextile between Mercury in Scorpio and Saturn in Capricorn can help with, is to see, you know, where we need to trim the fat and help focus ourselves so that we can really, you know, implement whatever it is that's coming to us at this time on a mental mercurial level, and to communicate and to share and to exchange, but with real confidence and with just a matter of fact and doing what needs to get done. Now, Mercury is going to come back one more time after it's gone direct in this Mercury retrograde cycle, and are going to have, you know, one more sextile with Saturn. So that's when we'll sort of get this final completion of these two energies meeting. But right now, the Mercury being retrograde is, and the Saturn in Capricorn is helping us kind of get more quality, or just the ability to really clearly look at things and to go, okay, yeah, I see, I get it, I understand it, and this is what we can do with it, and this is how we can implement it. And then that Mercury will be trining Neptune, which is right now at 15 degrees of Pisces. In a day, Mercury will move back a couple degrees and trine Neptune. And again, it will also trine Neptune one more time after it goes retrograde and moves forward. But this is a cool combination because they're both water energies, Scorpio and Pisces. And Pisces is all about our dreams and our creating our ideal. And, you know, Pisces has this very, very dreamy quality, the very creative quality. It's very transcendent. It's about compassion and sympathy and empathy. But with it trining Mercury and Scorpio, we're kind of getting a dose of like, all right, I can be empathetic, but where does it become like unhealthy? Where does it become compulsively driven and not really for our best interest or the best interest of other people? You know, it's not healthy when we're acting codependently with others. And so this Mercury retrograding as it's trining Neptune can, you know, Mercury's got this very clear in Scorpio opportunity to kind of see the underpinnings of how we think sometimes and how we communicate sometimes that, you know, may not really be the most effective if they're coming from more, if it's coming from more compulsive ways or ways that are driven by these kind of unconscious parts of ourselves. So as Mercury and Scorpio is trining Neptune and Pisces, we're having an opportunity to see where we might be kind of boundaryless at times in our ways of thinking and our ways of communicating, that we could kind of, you know, shore up a bit. Now, this also could just be very deep, passionate realizations and understandings that we want to, that blend with this ideal, that, you know, idealization of the way we really want to create beauty in our life, and the way we want to either express ourselves creatively or just express ourselves in a deeply passionate Mercury and Scorpio way that is in alignment with the beauty that we want to create in our lives and the idealism, you know, that we want to align with in our lives. So this is an interesting trine that's happening at this full moon time. And again, it'll happen one more time when Mercury goes direct, which will sort of show us more of the culmination of this trine. But right now it's more of the reflective, like, where can I express more passionately what I'm really deeply feeling? But also, are there areas where there might be some, boundaries that need to be defined, or simply just kind of like, places that we have to kind of pull our energy back, on a mental, communicative, mercurial level, and no longer sort of direct into these places that kind of drain us energetically in relationship with other people. The last piece of this full moon that I wanted to focus on is the fact that just after the full moon, and I've changed the chart here to 8:48 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, you can see that the moon now at 21 Taurus is trining Pluto at 21 Capricorn. And this is an interesting aspect to have at this full moon time, because the moon in Taurus is blending harmoniously with Pluto, the energy of transformation, death and regeneration and rebirth. So what this is saying is that the moon is supported. The moon's emotional expression in Taurus, wanting to seek harmony and beauty and peace, and express itself in an alignment with its values and with the way that supports our self-worth, that the transformative energy of Pluto, the death and regenerative energy of Pluto in Capricorn, really Pluto in Capricorn, it's like transforming, but in a really like solid way that creates change in a really in a way that requires effort, in a way that requires us to sort of persevere and keep going. So there's a lot of power in Pluto. Pluto is a lot about control. Pluto's a lot about our willpower. So what this is saying is that there's a lot of energy right here between the moon and Pluto to really powerfully express what we desire, what we want that brings us stability and security. Pluto is giving us a lot of energy to back us up. And it's saying yes, and this is really gonna like stick. That's Pluto in Capricorn. We're really gonna be able to make some great strides in making the changes that we want, that are in alignment with our desire to feel nurtured through security, material security, financial security, to feel nurtured through the relationships that we have. The Taurus Scorpio axis is all about security through relationships, and that's a lot of what this full moon time is revealing to us, is what we want in order to feel valued in relationship and in order to feel secure in relationship. And this trine from Pluto is giving us a lot of power, a lot of control to really go after those things, and to feel that we can trust the things that it is we really desire and want for ourselves in our lives, in order to bring us that security, and to align ourselves with the things that we value, and to align ourselves with things that really make us feel valued and make us feel our self-worth, because that's a lot of what Taurus is about. So that is my full moon in Taurus video for you all today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I will be back soon with another video for you all. Thank you so much. If you want to get in touch with me, I do have a website. It's highaltitudeastrology.com, and I offer readings as well. Thank you.